Hello, everybody, and welcome in to VVW After Hours with Offi and Gorgen. I am Gorgen.
And I'm Offi.
And we are going to be bringing you the best VVW reaction episodes that anyone has ever seen of all time. This is going to be God tier.
Nothing's even going to come close to this.
It can't. It can't. I mean, do you see any other VVW podcasts out there? I know I don't.
No. I mean, I've seen a couple tryhards try to record things on Snapchat and call it a review show.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like a show to me.
No, as you can see, we've spent the big money with putting the rings behind us. You know, we're taking this very seriously. We want to bring it to the best because the VVW fans deserve it.
Exactly. You know, we have a giant fan base. They've been supporting us since day one.
They have.
We need to give back.
Yep. Absolutely. I could not have said it better myself, Offi. I really couldn't have. So are you ready? Let's just get right into this thing here. So we're talking about the latest episode, VVW Live in Vegas. First off, I have to say the scenery with the goats was a nice touch. It was a nice touch.
Oh, yeah. Goats stole the show for sure.
They did. If the goats had a match, they would probably be our favorite ones, in my opinion.
That's true.
But let's find out. Let's find out what we thought about the matches. So we're going to start off from the beginning. Joey Long versus Gorgen. Offi, initial reactions with it being the first match of the event.
Yep. Well, let me just start off, first of all, by saying, I've said it once, I'll say it a million times. Joey Long needs to change his entrance music back to what it was. I don't want any of this Bob Barker stuff. Like, this game show host music needs to stop right away.
Yeah.
It's just not, it's not intimidating. You know who has a good entrance music?
Who is that?
Gorgen. Gorgen
right.
Came out, made an impact, and his music matched the intensity.
Exactly. Gorgen didn't talk, but he didn't have to because his intro music talked for him.
Exactly. He came out, it gave me chills. I was like, who is this guy? He's going to do a number on Joey Long. And then Joey Long just came out with his like, cut that. Get rid of that.
Could one say, now obviously Joey Long did win the match, but to a newcomer Gorgen with the intro music that you were talking about, is Joey Long getting soft?
You know, I didn't want to believe it because I was always a huge Joey Long fan. I actually started the Free Joey movement about 4 years ago. I don't know if you heard that. It might have been before your time here in VW. But I started a whole movement called the Free Joey movement. I was a huge fan of him, but I do agree with you. He's starting to get a little soft. And up-and-comers like Gorgen are just going to come in and steal his spot.
Absolutely. I agree. I cannot agree more, actually. Yeah, you know, Joey Long has got to change something up, change the intensity. I like the Joey Long show. I don't mind it. But, you know, he seems like he's getting a little soft. He's letting the TV personality side of things take over his wrestling.
That's true, Gorgen. Couldn't say it better myself.
Absolutely. So first off, my one thing I did want to mention, Gorgen, one of the only blemishes he had in that match was botching the initial Samoa drop. Went up to get him, and then I don't know if he lost his footing, if he just forgot what was going on there, but was not able to do it. Eventually was able to get a Samoa drop a little bit later in the match, but he was not able to get that. Now, did you pick that up right away too?
I mean, I didn't notice at first, but then the announcers picked up on it and they talked about it. So then, of course, I wound it back to check it out. And, you know, it happens. Newcomers, they have ring rust. You know, they knock it off. They knock the rust off the wheels and they get out there and just put on a match, which Gorgen did. The rest of the match.
Yep.
Explosive moves, very great sells.
Yes.
It was one of the most intense and exciting matches of the night, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Now Joey was probably going to be losing, but there was a few dirty moves that Joey had in that match. Now you may be thinking about what we just said before. Oh, I thought you just said Joey was soft. I do say Joey is soft, and I am starting to think Joey Long is soft. Because if you are a true competitor, if you're somebody who should be at the top of the game, you shouldn't need to use a bowling pin to the face, eye jabs, a tie around the head. You shouldn't need that. It needed all of that to slow Gorgon down.
Right.
And it worked. Joey won.
Yeah.
But can Joey win without having to do that? I don't know.
I mean, we haven't seen it. We haven't seen it. I've always been a fan of dirty tactic people.
Sure.
Ever since my days of watching WWE, TNA Impact, all these things. I love dirty tactic people. I love watching people do whatever they need to do to win. But against a newcomer, it shouldn't be necessary, you know?
Right.
And that's why I agree 100% that he seems to be getting a little soft. I understand pulling out those moves against someone like an Undead.
Sure. You know, a Brody Sims, one could say.
Sims, one could say, you know, Justice, all these other
Darby.
things.
Yeah.
Darby. Like, yeah, pull out those moves, do what you need to do to win. But a newcomer, you shouldn't have to do that.
No, you shouldn't. So overall, though, if you had to put a grade on this match, what would you put it at and why?
You know, that's a very good question. I do think I'd give this match a B+. Which, I mean, we're comparing this to some of the top matches of VVW history.
Right.
Again, a newcomer coming in, disrespecting the champ, and putting on a perfect match. Of course, I'm going to give it a high grade. Could it have been better? Yes, but it wasn't horrible. So that's why I give it a B+.
I agree with that. I think a B+ is a fair grade. I think that with, you know, Gorgon coming in, putting his foot down, and just kind of letting the VVW world know, hey, I'm here. Maybe he is somebody that at some point can make a push for a title and maybe challenge the Darby Washingtons for a potential title. We'll have to see what happens, obviously, with that. But like you mentioned, obviously, you know, being your first time in the ring, there are going to be some things that weren't great. You know, I mentioned Samoa drop, you know, a few things like that. But nonetheless, I thought it was a fantastic match, and I loved it. I loved it.
Agreed 100%.
Okay, so the popcorn microwave is done now. So we'll move on to the next match, and that'll be Mr. Monster versus Doug Unholy. This was a great match. I loved it. I'll be honest, I thought going into it, watching it, Doug Unholy was going to come out and get the win. It seemed like he was dominating a lot of the match, but Mr. Monster held his own and was able to win.
Right. You know, ever since Doug Holy changed his name to Doug Unholy, the man's been on a tear. I agreed 100% from the moment he came out to the ring. I knew he was going to win this, but you know, sometimes you get on the bad side of other people and it comes back to bite you. And that's exactly what happened when Rock Hawk interfered.
Oh, what's going on? Oh, no. What? Andre! Oh!
Yeah. And that's a great point. That was really the next thing that I brought up there. Rock Hawk with the deadly shots. I know they've kind of had some beef the past few VVWs. Rock Hawk seemed like finally getting some revenge in that match. So I'm sure Rock Hawk probably felt great about it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, it pays to make friends, and when you make an enemy, it can cost you. And that's really all I have to say about that match. If he didn't make an enemy of Rock Hawk, he may very well have come out with a win.
Possible. It's possible. One other thing I want to touch on too, the announcing duo of Billy Sparkles and Billy Lexus from Texas. I thought two people that were on two very sides of the spectrum teaming up might have been rough. It was a fantastic announcing duo there.
It was. You know, I was going to comment on that as well. I don't know who this guy from Texas is, but he was thoroughly entertaining. And, Billy Sparkles is always entertaining. So
Right.
great combo, and I hope to see it again soon.
Absolutely. So again, grading this match, where do you think you'd put it at?
Yeah, it really didn't stand out to me. I didn't take a whole lot of notes on it, so I can't give it that good of a grade. There was nothing that really stood out besides Rock Hawk interfering. I'd give it a solid C.
Sure. I'm gonna give it a B minus. I think one thing that I would like to mention is, can Doug Unholy's hair stay on his head? This is now multiple VVWs in a row where he's been in a match and the hair has come off.
Mm-hmm.
He's got to figure that out there, because it definitely does kill a little bit of time in the match, obviously. He's got to figure that out.
It's a distraction too. You can't win matches when you're scrambling to put your wig back on.
No.
So he's got to figure something out soon.
Absolutely. But anyways, yeah, so I give it a B minus for that one. If it wasn't for the fact of Rock Hawk coming in, having an integral part in that, I probably would grade it in the C's, but that part was entertaining, and that definitely did bring it up quite a bit for me.
That's true.
So moving on to our next match, it was a tag team match, Blue Cheese with Morph Suit Matt and Chef G versus Mr. America and Rick the Stick. My first comment I would like to make on this is I loved the intros on both sides. Obviously, we've seen Blue Cheese wrestle before, so it's nothing new there, but I loved it. And then with Rick the Stick and Mr. America, definitely got me hyped, ready for that match.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. Great intros, great spots in this match. I'm always a fan of watching Blue Cheese wrestle. I think Mr. America and Rick the Stick make a good combo as well,
Sure.
So it was thoroughly entertaining. I will say one spot that really stood out to me was the end when Chef G hit Mr. America in the back of the head with that 360 clubbing blow. It seemed to do a lot of damage there. And I think Mr. America might need to go to the hospital and get checked for some head damage in that one.
Yeah, I agree. I think that was definitely the biggest part of the match. Ended up winning after that, obviously, with Rick the Stick tapping in and then finishing off the match there. I think there were some things in this match that definitely could have gone better. I don't think it's the best match of the night by any means. And a couple things I'd like to bring out with that was the botch grab by Mr. America about 3 times. Took him 3 times to finally lock it in. And the third time he finally did, but that was definitely, he's got to figure that out there.
Right.
And then the other thing too, Rick the Stick, there was like 3 times where Mr. America went to go to help tag in, and he just didn't tag in. I don't know if you noticed that at all, Ophi.
I didn't, but sometimes you're just not in the right mindset to get tagged in. And I completely understand where he's coming from. Now, Mr. America probably didn't understand. He was probably a little bit pissed about not being able to tag out, because you get tired in the ring and you need your teammate to be ready to go.
Yeah.
Rick the Stick just wasn't that guy tonight.
He was not that guy.
Trust me, you're not that guy.
He was not that guy. So I don't know what was going on there, but definitely that has to be figured out. And then I don't know if it was on accident, on purpose, I don't know, but Chef G tripping at, multiple times as well too, going back. I laughed at that. I thought that was pretty funny. I don't know if that's a criticism, and I just think that's something kind of interesting there. It's funny. Yeah. And then the Bulldog botch as well too, quote unquote botch. The one that I believe, if I'm not mistaken, having some inside info that Morph Suit Matt and Mr. America planned to happen beforehand as well too. Because if you go back all the way to Mr. America as one of his first appearances on VVW, he went for a bulldog like a way too early.
On Justice, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
against Justice looked awful. So I think I'm gonna give this match a C. I think it was a C match. There's a lot of things that could have been better. The ending, I thought the ending was great, but yeah, that's what I'd put for that one.
I'd agree with that 100%. You know, anytime you have mid-carders in action, you can't really expect to see an A+ match.
Right.
So
Right.
it is what it is. There were some great spots, and they did the best they could do. And I love the botched bulldog. I mean, I'd love to see that happen more often as well.
Sure. Well, maybe that can be arranged. So my next thing that I wanted to talk about, it wasn't necessarily a match. It was the Open Challenge announcement from Defiance. Open Challenge was great there. I loved it. And then with Ref 26 and Garbanzo Alonso, little situation right there. I thought that made that situation pretty funny, and I absolutely loved that. I thought that, I don't know if you call it a promo or whatever you call it, but I thought it was great.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, Defiance, I've said it in some of my past reviews, Defiance is going to be a star one day in VVW.
Yeah, she's right there.
She's there. She needs a little bit of work, but as far as characters go, she's up there.
Absolutely.
And I didn't care who she fought in the Open Challenge. I was just excited to see Defiance.
Right. Yeah, I love that though, with Ref 26 coming in with a bag of Doritos, bumping into Garbanzo, and then them having a little scuffle there. That made that pretty funny.
Oh yeah.
I will.
That man is a fatty. And
he is fatty, fat man.
He is a fat. And you know, anytime you see him, just expect to see him stuffing his face.
Yeah, because he's a tub of lard. He is a tub of lard. And and then we have Raiden Cage versus Justice. I think that match went exactly how everyone thought it was going to go. I'm not sure there was any too much of a surprise there, but thoughts on that match?
You know, it's Raiden Cage.
Yeah.
You can't expect anything from him.
Right.
I think that match was more so about setting up Justice's match with the Mistress of Fate.
Right.
You know, it was a squash.
Yeah.
And you can't really rate a squash match as top tier.
Right. You can't.
So yeah, there wasn't much about that. The promo, on the other hand, not to push it forward, but the promo on the other hand was very well done. I loved the fire. I loved the mask. The mask, the mask coming out of the flames and taking shape, and then the Mistress of Fate taking it. Gave me chills. Loved it. Top tier, A+ promo. You know, that's all I can say about it.
No, I agree 100%. That was going to be my next point. I loved how that was done. At first, you know, seeing the fire, I was like, you know, what is that? What's going on there? But then doing the reversal with the mask and everything, that was brilliant. I loved how that did. If we're grading a promo, I'm definitely giving that an A. That was absolutely phenomenal. I loved it.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, when the mask was melted and it was in the ashes, it almost looked like a half burnt skull. That's what it looked like. There were teeth.
Yes.
When I was looking at it, like, what is that? And it slowly took shape. And man, that very well done.
Very well done.
One of the best promos I've seen in VVW history.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. I agree 100%. And other thing I wanted to point out in the Raiden Cage versus Justice match, the roasting that was in there by some of the announcers. A big 13-year-old kid. He's just waiting for his orange slices after it. And the last one that I have is the family doesn't care. They're right over there. They do not care. So I love the bigness, the big roasting jokes of the 13-year-old kid they found off the street.
Oh, yeah. Yep. I mean,
yeah.
It's a big 13-year-old. They got it right.
Yeah.
I can't even complain about the roasts. They were true. It's a big 13-year-old.
Also, the only thing I wanted to point out, Rick, the reffing was a little sleepy in that match, I thought. It was a little bit of a sleepy reffing match from him. There was a few times where he was a little slow to get to things. But, you know, he needs to pick it up a little bit on the reffing, I think.
Well, let me tell you, it's been like that for years. You know, whether it's One-Eyed Jack or whoever else, just expect a poor refereeing show. Almost as bad as The Ref. The Ref and Spanish Ref, two of the worst refs of all time. Take you back 4 years ago, he was still the same. Same with all of Rick's refs. Need work. Anytime you see a match and you see them in the ring, Rick or the ref, just expect some messed up reffing.
Yeah, I could not have said it better myself. Yeah. I agree.
They're not that guy.
You're not that good. Just. Then we have the Just the Bus versus the Big Stash match there. I thought that was a pretty good match. What did you think about it?
You know, I'm a big music guy, and I think Big Stash and the Great Pumpkin have two of the best entrance musics of all time.
Yeah.
Pretty sure both of them were nominated for VVW awards for best entrance music.
Okay.
Every time Big Stash comes out, I get hyped. Although this match with Just the Bus was not that good.
Yep.
The spots that Just the Bus had, no cells, all of that, just completely killed the momentum of Big Stash.
It did.
He took a shot to the head with a box and completely no-sold it. And I just started cringing. I couldn't even enjoy the rest of the match. Like, you got to get hit by that box and fall over. I don't care if you're on the driveway or whatever. You need to entertain the crowd. And Just the Bus did not do that in this match.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. Yeah, Big Stash definitely dominated that match. You know, he had the fans hype, everything. Yeah, Just the Bus definitely needed to pick it up. So was not a ginormous fan of that match. Was definitely one-sided for sure.
Yep.
So then the next promo that I like, the Mr. America and Ref 26 working out there with Ref 26 doing the bench press and then doing the elliptical machine there, bike. I like that a lot. I laughed a ton, especially when Ref 26 fell off at the very end. I thought that was pretty funny.
That was a hard fall. You could hear the fall. You could hear the smack on the concrete, and it had me dying. From the very moment I saw Mr. America holding out the cookie for him on the bench press, I knew it was going to be a top tier promo, and it was very funny. I loved it.
I got to say, this episode, I've watched a lot of VVW episodes. As far as promos go, I think this has probably been one of the best episodes for promos, as far as quality, how they went out and everything. I loved it.
No question. There weren't that many bad promos. Most of them were top notch. I'd give the majority of them A's.
Yeah, I agree.
To say, because most of the shows in the past, there's been some very, very bad promos. Joey Long, the shark in the playground. I don't know if you remember that one, but
I'm not sure.
Long ago, Joey Long was cutting a promo and he said, "I'm a big shark in the playground underwater of VVW." Not sure what he was going for there, but not a good promo.
That is not a good promo at all.
Yes.
No.
This episode was top notch for promo.
Absolutely. And then moving on to the pool match, Ron versus Mr. America for that.
You know, I have very strong opinions about this match.
Well, go right ahead then.
I'm going to start it off by saying the only cool thing about this match was Ron's swim trunks. Horrible match. I am sorry. Boring. The finish was boring. The beginning was boring. The only thing that was good about it was the swim trunks. Very cool swim trunks. I'm going to have to cop me some myself. And two, when it was over. I was hyped when it was over because I was tired of watching
Yeah, I agree. I think it it
it.
I think it went much longer than it needed to. It went very long, and for a pool match, I suppose it's probably hard to get some of the cells that we're used to getting. It's hard to show some of the moves.
Right.
But you're 100% correct. I thought it was pretty bland, pretty boring. I think it could have had potential to be better, but it was tough. Definitely towards the end of the day, everyone was just ready to be done with it for sure.
True.
But I agree. I will say though, I don't know if you noticed it when Ron jumped off of the diving board with the flying kick to Gorgon, that one actually did make contact with Gorgon, and it hurt a lot.
Oh yeah.
Gorgon, or sorry, not with Gorgon, with Mr. America.
Yep.
Mr. America did inform me that did hurt a lot.
Yeah. No, I definitely noticed because I heard ever so slightly Ron asking Mr. America if he was okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's when I knew something went horribly wrong.
Yeah.
But I gave this match a little bit too much crap. I did like the idea of a 10 count in the water. In the past, they've had rules where it was just the first to go in the water lost.
Okay.
I loved the new rule of a 10 count. It's like a last man standing match. It made it a little bit more interesting. But ultimately, like you said, it's hard to still have good spots.
Right.
So
yeah, as far as matches go, I think it definitely was not my favorite one of the night. I might have to, I don't know if I want to put Just the Bus versus Big Stash ahead of it or not, because that was just a poor match in general.
Yeah.
But very one-sided. I felt this side was very equal, but boring, and it did last a long time. I think in the future, I think they definitely do it again, but maybe change things up a little bit. I don't know how you would do that, but
right.
Something.
I agree. It was slightly better than Just the Bus versus Big Stash.
Right.
I don't think we gave a letter grade for Just the Bus versus Big Stash, but that was somewhere in the D range. I would say this was low C's, but better than that match for sure.
Yeah, I agree. And so then the next little promo with Ron and Darby talking there. Darby kind of talking about his title. Ron coming out, basically wanting a challenge. Darby will be giving him the challenge, but it is not going to be a title match to start. It's just going to be a prove it match. If you win, then you can face me. But I love that. I think that is definitely, they're building up some insane hype for that match, and I'm looking forward to that one whenever it comes around.
True. And earlier in this show, best review show on the internet, earlier in this show, you mentioned roasts for Raven.
Yes.
The roasts in this promo were once again top notch. Darby Washington took Ron and literally crushed him verbally into the dirt.
Yeah.
He had jokes about how the only chance he'd get is with that goat over there because no one wants to date a loser. That right there, top-notch comedy. And it hurt me to hear that.
Yeah, and that was tough.
On the goat, and the goat was just chilling.
Yeah, it was just chilling, doing its thing. I agree. You don't have to go for the goat. So I love that. I'm getting really excited for that match whenever that one comes around. A must watch for sure. And then the final match of the night, Havoc versus Blackout. One of, if not my favorite match of the night. I think they both did a pretty solid job on both sides of it. Obviously, Havoc kicking out of Blackout's finisher there, I believe 2 times, if I'm not mistaken. ended up winning. Then what did you think of the match?
Havoc hasn't done a whole lot since splitting up with Onyx. Onyx left the industry. He had a couple reigns here and there, but ultimately he's been sort of stagnant. But I'm a big fan of Havoc. He's a great character, a force to be reckoned with, and it's nice to see him getting a number one contendership match. And this match with Blackout did not disappoint.
Yeah.
They both need a push. They're getting their chances, and they're both scary. They're both going to be interesting if they were fighting Darby.
Right.
And it was intense. It was intense. It was a great match overall.
Great match. Yep, I loved it. And then bloopers, that was about it. But overall, any other comments or anything else that you, Offi, wanted to bring up about the VVW Live in Vegas show?
Oh, yes. So what I'd say is summarized the promos. Top.
Yes.
We both agree on that.
Yeah.
Best promos I've ever seen in a VVW show. And I'm hoping that's going to continue on in the future shows. Yep. Matches, a lot of very great, exciting matches. I'd say usually in VVW, there's one or two matches that really stand out. In this one, I think there were a few more. There was only one or two really not watchable matches that we've already talked about. Ultimately, I think this show should have just been a regular VVW show. It didn't strike me as a house show. It didn't strike me as a VVW live from Vegas. This isn't actually a part of the thing. It was an intense show, and it was better than a lot of the main card shows.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. Yeah, promos definitely great. Couple not great matches. You're bound to have that in some shows every once in a while, but overall, I think this episode was really well done. Yes. I agree as well. It definitely did not feel like a not part of the regular, circulation of shows. Right. I think it definitely could have been in that. So it was interesting. I loved it though.
Yeah. And we got to see a whole lot of firsts. We got to see Blackout and Havoc in the same ring at the same time. We've never seen that. That was interesting. That caught me off guard. That got me hyped, got me out of my seat. It was just a very entertaining show.
Yeah.
And what I really wanted to touch on was, you had your great A+ matches, your A+ promos, but the real A+ and the real show stealer of the entire hour and a half was the dance moves by Gorgon to end the bloopers. Hands down, the most entertaining part of the match or the show. I can't even tell you. Some of the best dance moves I've ever seen on the show.
America's Got Talent worthy, you think?
Olympics worthy. The Olympics are going on right now.
Yeah.
Screw gymnastics, screw swimming. I want to see a dance contest with Gorgon versus who else? I don't care.
I will represent USA.
He would take the gold.
Yeah, that was I agree with that. That definitely got a good chuckle out of me as well. But anyways, folks, thank you for listening to the greatest review that anyone has ever seen in VVW history. You cannot do better than this, folks, with the VVW After Hours show with myself, Gorgon, joined by
Offi.
And ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have a fantastic night, and thank you for listening to VVW After Hours.
And don't do drugs, kids. Hit the outro music.